Knowing security is important, but really being a developer, being a person who can code with a security mindset is the intersection that is going to make someone a viable employee and someone who's on a lifelong learning path.
Welcome to the 7 Eagle Group podcast, your home for inspiring stories, valuable tips, and great advice from hard-charging veterans so you can lead a more rewarding and lucrative post-military career.
Hey guys, you know how I love to share inspiring stories of military veterans, and I got an awesome one today. She is a Chinese linguist from the Army. She served for 4 years and has now gone on to become the CEO of a cyber company called ScaleSec out in San Diego. She's been doing it for 10 years. They have a team of 22 people and just an incredible person who cares deeply about this community. And Marsha Wilson, thank you so much for taking a few minutes today.
Thank you for inviting me, Jordy. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so I know your career path is one of these zigzag things because I know you tell everyone about how you started in the Army and what that was like and what you did.
Sure. So essentially, I was finishing my degree back in '91, and there was like a little mini recession right then. And I thought, you know what? I've always wanted a second language anyway. Ended up talking to the recruiter, and she talked me into going up to DLI to become a Chinese linguist. It was a very good timing. It was nice that I was just kind of like, well, I've got 4 years. Let's see what happens here. Finished my master's degree while I was stationed in Hawaii. And when I came out on the other side, it was amazing to have an STI clearance, have my master's degree, no student debt, and went off to start working in consulting. So I really do credit my time in the military for my trajectory into what was originally information security, information assurance, information defense, signals intelligence stuff.
Are you still fluent in Chinese?
With a small liquid motivator, sometimes I can do
you
pretty
do
good.
karaoke.
Exactly. I'm not too bad. I can kind of fake
That's
it.
good.
A lot of verbs and nouns are gone, but I can pick them up again.
I'm sure you would. That's all. So if you want to share a little bit about your military experience, like what did that learn and how did that prepare you for life after service?
Certainly. I actually I always tell folks that, for the 4 years that I was in, I was expecting a lot of things that did not come to fruition, but more than received in spades, things that I never expected, gifts that I never expected, friendships that I never expected, discipline, experience that is very revered in my experience in the world that I work in. And it was fun. I spent a year in Monterey learning the language. It was 47 weeks at the time. I believe they've since expanded it to 63, but now we're talking 30 years ago. So I'm sure there's plenty of things that have changed. The MOS isn't even the same anymore. But I've also been replaced with a very small square on your iPhone that can do a lot of the translations and stuff. Whereas back then it really did require some wetware. So I'm pleased that I had the timing that I did. Stationed in Hawaii, went to my Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for my master's program down at Hickam. They had a satellite campus. And worked during the day at Kania and, went into the tunnel each day and did my job and came out, and good friendships, learned a lot about my nation, really, a lot of, friends that came from places that from California, I always thought they were just flyover states. And the truth is our nation is just populated with amazing, creative, talented individuals. And I've got friends across the United States now as a result of my time in the military.
From that. That's great.
Yeah.
How did that prepare you to be an entrepreneur? I mean, you are self-taught in cyber, and what you've done is nothing short of amazing, building this huge company. But, talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I would say that when you go in to do something with the training intensity of becoming a linguist, when I didn't know a lick of Chinese at all, when I joined, they had you take the defense language aptitude battery to see if you had an aptitude to learn languages. And apparently I did. I didn't know I did. I just hoped I did. The discipline that it takes and the focus on lifelong learning, because if you want to keep something sharp, whether it's your Chinese or whether it's understanding information security or whatever, is in your path, you have to have a devotion to lifelong learning. And, it's been ages since I got out of the military, and there's still things that I'm taking little quizzes and little different classes and stuff that are available on LinkedIn or through Google or through AWS, and just continuing to expose myself to what is going on in the world that's important to me, so that I can have good conversations with team members or with clients or with colleagues that are, worried about, whether it's ransomware or other issues that, focusing on cloud security and making things more secure is a part of that world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about ScaleSec. I know you have a big team there, and
We do.
What kind of work do you do? What kind of clients?
Sure. Well, when we started back in 2015, my co-founder and husband, Aaron Wilson, was leaving AWS, and we wanted to see if we could do a pure play consultancy for cloud security and compliance. And at the time, there weren't very many teams that had that specialization. In fact, if you went to one of the big GSIs, you'd find maybe one or two people that were peanut buttered across 6 or 8 different engagements. And we wanted to build a cohort, build a team that would be able to learn from each other and provide that sort of specialization and expertise. And we went on to get our AWS advanced consulting partner and Google's premier launch partner for security specialization. And we continue to provide, terrific support to end user customers, sometimes enterprise, sometimes small, medium-sized businesses that are looking to build and continue to run their businesses on one of the 3 major cloud providers, Amazon, Azure, or Google. And so on the daily, we're talking to folks and saying, what is your challenge? What are you having trouble with? A lot of folks are multi-cloud now, and we may come in to help them with one cloud, and then they'll notice, that we have the expertise to help with others. And so good long-term relationships. I'm very, very proud of the delivery quality and the stickiness of our team with different clients, because most of our work is project-based. So once we come in and uplift you and kind of get you where you need to go, then we either see if there's something else you need done. But in many instances, we do not stick around like a staff augmentation model. We can do that sort of stuff. And people are actually asking for that more and more, because finding someone who has that specialization that can kind of stick around either as an enterprise architect, sort of a resident architect part-time, or on a lower level, somebody that can do a lot of the engineering hands-on with our guidance and oversight at a price point that makes the company that we're supporting able to focus exclusively on the business differentiators that make them successful, and less so on the security or infrastructure or shared responsibility model that they need to do if they're riding on a cloud for their business, as opposed to bare metal or data centers, et cetera.
Yeah. So many of the transitioning service members who we mentor and guide and help them with their careers want to go down this path of cyber. It's, it's sexy, it's appealing. They're all, it's very popular. What advice would you have for service members who are looking to go down this path, and make it their first job out of the service?
Well, I'll tell a little story and then I'll transition to your answer. When I first landed at Booz Allen after I left the military, they asked me to be a technical writer, and I, of course, was excited to be employed. So I said yes. But it turned out I knew very little. I understood very little about the software that I was writing user guides for in order for the service members that were eventually going to use these cryptologic suites, understanding how to not only do the buttonology, but exploit what they were doing. So took myself up to UCSD's continuing education program. That's kind of the evening classes type thing, and got a professional certification in client server technology. It did take a couple years, but the truth was I needed to understand that in order to do my job. And to your answer though, when you want to work in cybersecurity, if you want to work in cloud, if you want to be doing the work that I'm doing in the way that my team runs, you need to understand and adapt to the fact that doing things in a code-driven way is absolutely mandatory. So teaching yourself, if you want to, there's tons of information out there. You can teach yourself how to do Python, how to do Terraform. Those are 2 of the most basic prerequisites to putting infrastructure as code in place to ensure that the security requirements are being embedded in the process of building applications that support companies. So you can't just go get your CISSP or your CC. I forget, there's another one up there, that thing that ISC Squared offers for cloud specific. But knowing security is important, but really being a developer, being a person who can code with a security mindset is the intersection that is going to make someone a viable employee and someone who's on a lifelong learning path.
Yeah. What are some of the soft skills in candidates that you look for, like that you admire
Mhm.
for your field?
Um, I think what I look for as a person running a consultancy is actually something that anybody could benefit from, but there are definitely engineers out there that just want to do their engineering and go home at the end of the day. So you can do just Python coding or Terraform coding and that kind of thing and just, churn it out and
Yeah.
head home at the end of the day. For someone that wants to actually be a consultant, though, they need to understand that even if you think you have the right answer, you can't just march on in and ram it down somebody's throat, because the people that we're helping, you have to imagine if they're calling in a consultant, they're nervous, they're not sure, they're looking for an answer, they want to make sure that they're not getting behind relative to their competitors,
Yeah.
and bringing them some answers and some consideration. We work a lot actually with this company to help people understand how you need to triangulate the conversations that you're having. Don't just come in and say, this is the answer. I can't believe you didn't know this. I mean, I looked it up. You could have looked it up. Going in and saying, what are some of the things you're concerned about? I've got a couple of ideas that might work for you. Let's just sit here and whiteboard them together. Training and education and gently bringing someone from where they are to where they are asking you to take them where they need to be.
Yeah.
Is a function of consideration, of empathy, of understanding, and knowing that sometimes people are not going to adopt what you know as fast as you were able to consume it. So respecting someone's on their own journey and someone wants to get there. It's no different than if I were going to talk to one of the folks that are listening to the podcast today. I said, tell me what you know, tell me where you want to get to, and let's you and I work together so that you can build a consumable plan that you can actually do if you have kids or you have another job or if you're taking care of your mom or whatever the case is, because everybody's going to have their own timeline for their journey as well. And if you respect that with the clients, you're going to be successful as a consultant.
And like you said, there's so much free training out there that somebody can double up while they're in the service. Say, just spend an hour a day and get some of these certs, that you mentioned, get some of that experience under your belt,
Absolutely. There's also terrific programs with all three of the clouds. They cater to veterans that are coming out of the service, and they will go out of their way to put you in touch with recruiters that specialize in that help you understand how to do a conversion of what you did in the military to how it might apply to working for one of the cloud service providers.
Yeah, great advice. What are some of the pitfalls you see in job seekers who want to come work for you? Are there certain mistakes that people make over and over when they're trying to present themselves?
I think it's important to recognize the importance of bringing your whole self, meaning like you don't have to barf really quickly and speak as fast as you can because we've only got a 30-minute slot. I've read your resume. I want to know who you are. Do I want to work with you every day? Presume that I've read your resume, but I want to get to know you as a person. I need to see, are you capable of having a conversation? Are you listening? Are you doing some active repeating back of what you've heard me say if you're not sure? Are you creating a relationship with me so that I can believe that when I ask you to do something or you ask me to do something, that we've both heard each other effectively? And I think that folks get a little nervous when they're doing job interviews. I try really hard to defuse that when I'm talking to new candidates. But sometimes you just get tripped over yourself, and it's got to take a deep breath, bring a glass of water with you, and know that we all put our pants on one leg at a time. You just got to find the folks that find your people, basically find your people.
What advice would you give to service members or vets who are looking to make pivots into cyber? Like, as far as like where would be a safe bet for them? Where's the industry heading in the next 3 to 5 years? What would you recommend they study? What certs are there? Certs they should get? Are there,
When I started out a zillion years ago, security was kind of this little pocket. It was sort of a subset of IT. Nowadays, there are so many ways to specialize in cyber, which is to say, for example, if you want to look at healthcare IoT, you can learn as much about healthcare as you learn about security. And that overlay is going to make you especially attractive for that kind of company. So find where your passion is and then see what are the security and compliance aspects to it and marry those two together.
Yeah, right. Like somebody might be in aviation in the Air Force, but they want to go into cyber now, but maybe work for an aviation company doing cyber for them. Yeah,
exactly.
That's I like that a lot. What about, there are a lot of people we're helping too who want to go into the tech sales route. So don't want to be staring at the screen all day, but they want to be
Right.
promoting the services that you offer. Do you have any advice for those folks?
I would say that is where you want to volunteer as much as you can to do webinars, to do the podcasts, get out there and start to practice honing your craft. Because again, the psychology of why people buy things from the people they buy them from is even independent of what you're actually selling. So, I'm sure there are plenty of places out there where you can get, sales training and sales experience. And that is kind of separate to whether you want to be doing tool sales or consulting sales or, whatever, what have you.
Yeah. Oh, this is all, Marsha. I can't thank you enough for doing this and sharing some thoughts and suggestions with our audience. We truly appreciate you and what you're doing, and congrats on all your success at ScaleSec. And if anyone wants to check her out and her company, we'll put the link in the in this video, and please go see the amazing work they're doing. And again, I appreciate you, Marsha.
Just a pleasure. Thank you for reaching out. I look forward to seeing this online and seeing success with your audience.
Outstanding.